The new breed of gravel bikes promise to do it all. But can they really? I mean, can they be fast and fun on-road and fast and fun off-road? It seems like a tall order, but we're going to try and find out. To do so, SRAM have kindly supplied their new Force group set and 3T a frame that I'm going to race in both on-road and off-road events. And I'll also talk you through just what you need to look out for from a do-it-all bike.
Oh my God, nerves going through the roof right now. My first road race in 6.5 years.
Just don't attack at the start, save your energy.
Okay, don't attack at the start, right. This is the battle on the beach, and I've been wanting to do it for ages. Part mountain bike race, part beach race. You start on sand, tearing down one of Wales's longest beaches, before then looping back to the start through the forest behind on like a mixture of double track and single track. No one seems to know what the best type of bike for this race actually is. A lot of 29er mountain bikes here, a fair few cyclo-cross bikes, and a couple of fat bikes. So this seems like quite a good first test. Let me give you a quick overview of my bike. We'll go into more detail in the tech a little bit later on, but my start time is rapidly approaching. But anyway, this is my do-it-all bike. SRAM have very kindly supplied their new Force ETAP Access group set. So that's wireless, remember. Also got a chain management system built into this rear derailleur. Plus, I'm running it 2x as well, as you can see. Now, it's hung on a 3T Exploro frame set. That kind of made the headlines when it was launched for being the first aero gravel bike, but it's fair to say it's won a lot of praise since then for actually just being a great frame. Now, crucially, in the GCN show, we asked you whether one bike still counts as one bike if you had two sets of wheels, and you said resoundingly, yes it does. So here is wheel set number 1. It's an aluminium set of Zip 30 courses, set up tubeless, and I've got a 40mm wide tyre on there. That's the fattest I can get into this bike. Hopefully, it's going to be enough to keep up with the mountain bikes through the forest, but we will see. I've got to get my skates on now though, because I definitely don't want to miss my gridding. I've managed to get myself gridded, which is great news because there's 100 of us on this start line and there's another 900 people about to come and join us. So a little bit of pressure on to get a decent start. Oh my God, nerves going through the roof right now. It's the first time I've had a number board on the front of my bike for about 10 years. Not used to being on a mountain bike start line again, but anyway, I'm so tired.
Well done, dude.
Thanks, mate. Oh. That was bloody good fun, that. Oh. That was awesome. So much fun. I wish I'd done this years ago. In terms of my bike, I think I pretty much nailed it. I think maybe a 29er mountain bike might have been a little bit quicker in the woods, but that's not really surprising, is it? Because a mountain bike is probably faster on mountain bike trails. But the key thing was, I definitely didn't feel like I was at a disadvantage. Had I had better legs, I definitely would have gone faster. It was a lot of fun riding smooth single track on drop bars. And then when we got to the beach, I was able to absolutely wang it in that massive top gear. For the first lap anyway, and after that my legs gave out. I did finish 16th in the end, which I'll take that these days, to be quite frank. Now we've got to head back to GCN HQ while I get the bike cleaned up and prepped for what's going to be my first road race in 7 years. And then we can also delve into a little bit more about the tech behind why I think now we have got to the point where you can have a genuine do-it-all bike. The 3T that I've just been racing is one such example of a do-it-all bike, and this is another. It's an Orbea Terra, and during this half-time show, I'm going to use it to talk through the tech that gives a drop bar bike the versatility that you might be looking out for. You don't need the latest and greatest kit to have a do-it-all bike, but that said, there is tech on here that I think is really important actually in helping to close that performance gap between bikes like this and those that are more specialist, both on the road side of things and off-road. The frame and forks is a logical starting point. Firstly, tyre clearance. You need plenty of it. To really venture off-road, you're going to want at least 40mm wide tyres, probably more. As you can see, I've got clearance to fit bigger ones up front here. Then when it comes to bike handling, I think you still want a bike that's relatively nimble so that you get that thrill when you're riding on road, but not at the expense of leaving you utterly terrified when you hit dirt. So things that I look out for are chainstay length. Shorter makes a bike a little bit more agile. Lower bottom bracket height actually makes a bike more stable, but also more fun, both on tarmac and on dirt. And then I'd also want to make sure the head angle isn't too slack. Some gravel bikes can be a little bit slow in the steering, so something that's nicely balanced with the rest of the bike. And the other thing, I'm afraid to say it, it's got to have disc brakes. It does, it's got to have disc brakes. It is, of course, more nuanced than that. There is a lot to separate a good frame from a great frame, but let's also not overlook those less obvious but equally significant performance gains that you can get from your group set. Now, I will start with that hydraulic damper. I mentioned it earlier. You can, of course, use a standard road group set for riding off-road, but it's not ideal. The chain can be a bit noisy, flapping around, bouncing off your paintwork, as well as potentially coming off entirely. Whereas when you've got a damper like this one, then it keeps the chain under close control when going over bumps. Previous generation Force 1x has a different type of clutch in there, which is equally effective, but SRAM only recommended it for use 1x because it makes shifting between chain rings feel quite laborious, whereas as you can see, this one can be run 1x and also 2x as well. When running that 2x option, you can then also run closer ratio gears at the back, and I know this is really important to some of you because you told me. That extra 12 sprocket at the back also doesn't hurt, so it means that you've then got a wide range of gears, in this case 1033 at the back and a 3346 up front, but with those smaller jumps in between them, which is something that a lot of dyed-in-the-wool roadies will be very thankful for when riding fast on tarmac. Two important points there. Then it's about opening up tyre options, because previously tyre choice has also been restricted by the use of front derailleurs, so not just limited by your frame set. The solution being, therefore, to run 1x, but now with the new generations, actually the design of the front derailleur has been tweaked to allow you to comfortably fit a 40mm wide tyre in there. And actually, if you're using smaller 650B wheels, then you can use a 47 in there. Now, different wheel sizes and different tyre sizes, you can't do that without disc brakes either. So although that is not new tech, to my mind, that has probably been the most instrumental thing of all in giving drop bar bikes the versatility to take them off-road, because cantilever brakes, they kind of just sucked a bit, didn't they? Some of these differences might sound subtle, and to a certain extent, some of them are, but they definitely add up to help close that gap between do-it-all bikes and more specialist bikes. Right, half time is over. I've got a bike to clean and a race to get ready for. Okay, right, let's optimize this for the road race. Like I said, my first road race in 6.5 years. That didn't take too long, did it? Now, just one final touch to get it race ready. Oh yes. I'll be honest, because I've been out of the game for that long, I feel like I need some kind of pep talk, maybe just some tactics, some words of advice. So I'm going to phone up the best, highest performing, most talented cyclists that I've got in my phone book, just to see whether or not they can help make the difference. I hope they pick up. I need it.
Hello?
Hi Dan, you alright mate?
Yes, how are you?
Yeah, I'm alright mate, not too bad. Mate, you know I'm doing this race.
Yeah.
Do you mind? I just need a bit of like, just some tactics, just some advice, mate. I'm so nervous. I'll be honest, I'm it a bit.
I don't think you need to worry about tactics. You've been out of the game for a little while. You just got to try and hang on, mate.
Hang on. Okay.
Yeah, just hang on. I mean, if I could give you one piece of advice, just don't attack at the start. But also remember the fact that you just can't sprint, so try and attack before the finish.
Okay. All right, mate. Thanks. That makes sense.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, really nervous.
I put a bog roll in your kit bag before you went, so if you need it, it's there.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. All right, bud. Where are you, by the way?
All right, good luck, mate.
Where are you?
At the pub.
You are. You're at the pub.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
thinking of you.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Thanks, buddy. Cheers, mate. See you in a bit.
Bye.
Don't attack at the start. Don't wait for a sprint. Try and survive. Got it. Well, quite a bit of time has elapsed since the battle on the beach. You might have noticed that this is also the bike that I took up to ride the North Coast 500 in Scotland. And funnily enough, after doing 500 miles in 3 days, I then had to have 3 weeks off the bike due to an Achilles tendonitis. So I've been away from road racing for 6.5 years, and now I also have less fitness than I was banking on. So I'm a little bit worried. I'm not actually worried about the bike in the slightest. I know there is absolutely nothing about it that is going to hamper my performance tonight. I'm just worried that I'm not going to be able to do it justice. It feels like there's quite a lot banking on it. So yeah, I'll be keeping my fingers firmly crossed. Now the proving ground is this, which is the Thursday Night World Championships at Castle Combe. It's a race series, a classic race series local to GCN's HQ. I could have entered the 3rd and 4th category race, but I accidentally entered the elite race instead. My pen slipped when I was signing on. Now you'll notice that preparing for this race in terms of the bike was a pretty quick process, swapping the wheels out, but that does mean that I am still using my mountain bike pedals and therefore my mountain bike shoes, which complete with a little bit of mud left over from the cross season. Now in performance terms, I don't think I'm going to lose out here. I did it partly because I wanted to change as little as possible, and by changing my pedals and my shoes, I then thought I might start having to faff around with my seat height, and that's not what you want to do every time you want to swap from road to off-road. So I'm going for mountain bike pedals, and I'm just going to have to put up with the fact that this feels all kinds of wrong. I tell you what, I've forgotten how much I love racing on the road. It's ridiculous, isn't it? 6.5 years away, I'm my pants. Oh, actually, that was brilliant. Such good fun. Even had to go in the sprint. Lord, you'd be impressed. Finished solidly mid-pack. Oh man. Ah, that was so cool. Well, now that the dust has settled and I'm getting my breath back a little bit, where does this leave us in answering our original question about do-it-all bikes? Well, I guess the answer is yes, they kind of can. I've had a great time racing exactly the same bike off-road and on. And I think that is fantastic news because not everyone can have or wants to have multiple different bikes for different disciplines. So the rise of this new breed of super versatile gravel bikes, I think can only be a good thing. Where then does it leave people like myself that like having different bikes from different disciplines? Is that going to be a thing of the past? Well, no, if I'm completely honest, I don't think it is, because I don't think a gravel bike is ever going to be able to do what a mountain bike can do. They're just more limited. And then when it comes to the road side of things, well, clearly they're not limited in the same way because a gravel bike can go everywhere that a road bike can, but they just feel so different. We've seen time and time again that you can measure the difference in speed at the same effort between a gravel bike and also a road bike. And while the difference might seem small on paper, in my experience, the human body is pretty good at being able to perceive these small differences out on the road. And so even a fraction of a second can translate into an increased feeling of exhilaration that you get when riding an out and out road bike. And there's also a couple of other bits that I've been thinking about. Firstly, having a pristine road bike is a joy to have, whereas when you ride a bike in the dirt, it can get thrashed pretty quick. And so if you do have a do-it-all bike and you regularly swap between disciplines, I think you'll probably spend half your life cleaning it, which is definitely a bit of a negative in my book. And the last one is that I think once you've made that initial investment in multiple different bikes, keeping them on the road is probably actually the same price as just having one do-it-all bike, because, bear with me, you can only ever ride one bike at once, which means if you've got 3, for example, each one will only get 1/3 of the use. Now, that might sound a bit random, but let me know in the comment section what you think about this do-it-all bike. I'm going to have a well-earned beer. If you want a little bit more info about that SRAM Force ETAP Access group set, then you can click through to that video on screen now. Otherwise, give this a big thumbs up.